Hi there, my name is Beck and the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. So, comic books. Comic books are used to be quite a thing. They used to be really fun, and people used to like them. And then these terrible people, I would say the worst people ever to walk the face of the earth, decided they wanted to come and work in the comic book industry as well. And they said, well, we got to make it a little bit more inclusive. We got to make it, we got to make it good for everybody. And everyone went, well, that seems kind of reasonable. That seems totally reasonable. Why wouldn't we do that? Why would we want to drive anybody away? And so they said, great, now do everything we do, or we're going to make your lives miserable. And they basically forced anybody out the industry who didn't think the way they did. Who, in an early episode of Doctor Who, if you know my channel, I love Doctor Who. An early episode of Doctor Who from probably 1963. It was way back, the first Dalek story. They described the Daleks as having a dislike for the unlike, and that I think describes the people. They're better known as social justice warriors, and they are terrible people. Then they affected every part of comics. After they forced people who not necessarily who voted for the current president, but didn't vehemently hate the current president. After they forced all those people out, they said, you know what, we'll go to a crowdsourcing platform, and we'll connect directly to consumer, and we'll see if we can sell any comic books that way instead. We'll see if that works. And they went there and said, no, you're not allowed there. No, not allowed there either. And they got driven off Kickstarter, and that's why the Comicsgate world, the hashtag I proudly associate with, the Comicsgate world, and found themselves at Indiegogo. And nearly not so much at Kickstarter. So then these terrible people who force everybody out the industry, they also force all the readers away as well, because they decided if you're not like us, they had a dislike of the unlike. If you're not like us, we don't even want you. We don't want your money. That's how much we don't like you, because they don't really like money either, because they're weird. Okay, they are freaking weird. So because of that, the comic book industry imploded, and now they're going to crowdsourcing platforms. Not Indiegogo. Indiegogo is still verboten. But one of the person who was hired to act as the gatekeeper to Kickstarter, what she did there was she was a terrible employee. She unionized pretty much as quickly as she could, and then just like in with the comic book industry, they forced people out of there. They forced people away from the platform, and they didn't have much money. Again, putting your fate in the hands of unemployed and unemployable communists, probably not the best idea. Probably not the best business strategy, right? So they had to have lots of layoffs at Kickstarter, and she was amongst the first. The woman's name is Camilla Zahn, and normally I don't really think about her, but oh my God, there was just this exchange on Twitter. One of the worst things that's ever happened to the Western civilization, Twitter, between this gatekeeper, Camilla Zahn is her name, and Etherman Sciver, I would say one of the main figures in Comicsgate. Also very, very entertaining, very entertaining channel. I do recommend you go over there and check him out if you don't know him. It happened, and it's fast. It's absolutely fascinating. It doesn't matter if you're into comics, if you're not into comics. This is something that you just got to check out. It is breathtaking. So we're going to be going through this little tweet thing. It wasn't easy. I took screen grabs, and because they go off in different directions and different tangents. So I tried to keep a message, right? But we do go off in two different directions. But generally speaking, try to keep a message. We're going to look at it. Indeed, we're going to read them together. We're going to have a bit of read along with Rabbi. How's that sound? Well, before we get there, can I ask you guys? Can you hit the subscribe button? That would be great. Thank you very much. I just remembered while I was doing this that I was gatekeep from Kickstarter. I totally forgot about this. I completely forgot about this. That was my first crowdsourcing campaign. Thankfully, it went well, and my book was like completely rejected from them after I set up the platform. I didn't even know that was the thing. What was it? Oh yeah, this one right here. It was like some reason that they wouldn't let me on the platform. After I got it all set up, I had all the advertising, I was just ready to go. They said, nah, not so much. And now this is a little voyage of discovery for me, because I completely, now all makes sense. So, I went to Indiegogo straight away. Indiegogo, freaking fantastic. And from that, I did, where was it? Did my second crowdsourcing campaign. That one went really well. That one I had, I got about, I went way through the goal. Got about 10 times the goal. Did well for this one. This trade paperback. Anyway, I digress. Can you hit the subscribe button? Now I'm just waffling. Can you hit the subscribe button? Thank you very much. I think I'm at 1,700 subscribers, but I want to get to 1,701. I want to get to 1,701. Why do I want to get to 1,701? It's the registration number for the Starship Enterprise. We've all seen that 79. So can you hit the subscribe button? And listen, even if you're 1702nd, keep hitting that damn subscribe. Don't hit it once. But all of you, hit the subscribe button, subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. I am pathetically grateful. Appreciate every one of you that subscribe. Anybody subscribes, they can. Into my, other than Making a Rabbi. Pathetically grateful, pathetically happy, which you do. You absolutely, genuinely, really do. You also get to enter my weekly competitions. The prize this week is Lord of the Rings, the 2 towers. It's a 4-disc DVD set, it's extended edition of the movie, and tons and tons of extras. All you need to do to win it is subscribe to the channel, and in the comments leave the hashtag Helm's Deep. Second thing I will do for subscribers and subscribers alone is there's a special big Kabbalistic day for non-Jews coming up in about 2 weeks, which is very this is all Jewish philosophy, which is a good day for prayer, to beseech the good Lord. So whether you believe in God or you don't, you want me to pray for anything, send me whatever your prayer request is. I will I will pray for you in the land of Israel, where it's a local call. It's a local call to the good Lord. So hopefully your entreaters will get there, speedily. Fine. So let's look at this this tweet thread, which I tell you, if God doesn't exist, it's a strange thing, because this is just a gift from the heavens, right? This is incredible. So it starts off over here. Let's have a look. Starts off with Brian Hitch. Now, Brian Hitch, freaking fantastic artist. I love Brian Hitch. He did, the Authority, which is a great book. If I would recommend that. He's got a lovely design style. He did some of the design work for the revival of Doctor Who. His Cybermen, the ones that were in 2006. They look very Brian Hitch. You can see He also basically set up the DC, the Marvel MCU, the Marvel MCU was pretty much based on the comic book story, the comic book, the Ultimates, and it's very good. It's a very good comic book. But they basically took a lot of that and made the MCU out of that comic. So Brian Hitch, freaking fantastic artist, and so basically he's feeling around for work, right? This is what the code that somebody told me. He's feeling around for work, and so he puts out a tweet saying, I've been thinking about crowdfunding a project for a long while, and it's potentially exciting, but it does put me off the sheer effort and logistics involved that go into fulfillment. Yeah, that is scary. 100%. So as I said, this is basically Brian Hitch saying, I'm free for work, but I might, do this for myself, because this seems to be working out for a lot of people, right? And Brian Hitch, you could, listen, if you're not stupid, right? If you're not a moron, and I don't think you are, you could do very well. Especially your own property, which you own. It's probably a good idea. You could probably do extremely well. These terrible people, these Twitterati, these social justice warriors, they one thing they really like is control, domination and control. So they didn't like it that the comic book industry imploded, even though they caused it to implode. They completely caused it to implode. They didn't like it because they didn't like it not because they lost jobs, because they don't care about money, because they're insane communists. No, it's not they don't care. They were upset that they lost their domination and control of comic books, which is why they force people out everywhere. So now the woman who was the gatekeeper at Kickstarter, who was fired because she caused so much bloody trouble, is now setting herself up as a consultant, as a crowdsourcing consultant, right? Which basically means if you crowdsource a book, me and my gaggle of terrible people, my social justice warriors that live on Twitter, won't hound you and make your life miserable. We won't cancel you if you get my seal of approval stamp. So here's C. Chris Chang Chang went in, informed him straight away. He was first out the bat. He came out and said, talk to Camilla Zhang, I should say, the former comic book lead for Kickstarter. That lead, that's code word for Gatekeeper, which she totally was. Okay, 100% totally was Gatekeeper. She does consulting now for comic book crowdfunded projects. She worked on Scott Snyder and Tony Daniels' Noctera Book 1 that raised $218,000 from a $40,000 goal. Yeah, listen, it's got. Don't take credit for that. Okay, don't take. If you go and watch your boy Zach's channel where he goes into the real analytics of it and shows you the spreadsheets, she does nothing. I think she had nothing to do with that other than protecting Scott Snyder from being cancelled, because they've been itching to cancel Scott Snyder for a long time. He's a bit too, problematic. He's a bit too patriarchal for them. So they're itching to cancel him. So then comes along this gentleman called Fat Irishman. Now, Fat Irishman is a bit of a smart cookie. Fat Irishman has his finger on the pulse. Because he comes out and straight away, Camilla Zhang made the poor decision to deny John Malin, a big comic skater, and Richard Meyer from using Kickstarter, costing them hundreds of thousands then they had to do layoffs. Stay away from Camilla Zhang unless you want to make half of what you could make using Indiegogo. Listen to Ethan Van Sciver. Yeah, Ethan Sciver, the voice of sense. The voice of sanity in this strange and insane world. And he gives a couple of screen grabs. So then comes Greg Kilpatrick. He doesn't like that suggestion. He doesn't like the suggestion at all. He says, "Stay clear of Comicsgate!" And if you don't, me and my gaggle of terrible people are gonna hound you and make your life a living freaking hell. Because that's the only power we have, and that's the only thing we really care about is power. The only thing we care about is having power. So, and they don't like anything that will take away their power. So that's why they wanted to call Comicsgate a hate group. A hate group. So it's, listen, they may be racist in Comicsgate who use that hashtag. I don't know. The ones I bought have not seemed very hatey to me. They just seemed like kind of fun, good comics. So there's that. But then, Scott, was it? Not Scott Snyder. It was the guy who wrote Batman Forever. And did a terrible job and basically got fired from that. He's got a Watchmen book coming out. Oh, it looks terrible. I can't remember his name. His name will come. His name will come back. But yeah, he said Comicsgate. I hate. They just say it. They just say it as if it's an established fact, because that's how these evil people operate. They don't want to talk about the details, right? They don't want to talk about specifics. They want to talk about how they can label you, so how they can control you. So that's not working out for them so well. So Fat Irishman comes back and says, why stay clear of the group that actually with actual disposable income to spend in comics right now? Pretty much the only group, right? The only group that feels that way. So Greg Kilpatrick, he has good reasons. He has good reasons for his insane opinion. He works in comics apparently. He has a very good reason. So he says, because they support shitty people with shitty ideas. Really? Which are these shitty ideas? A cyberly enhanced frog? That sounds pretty racist to me. I'm like, what are these people? Crazy. They're all out their freaking mind. So Fat Irishman, he speaks for me here, Fat Irishman. I love you, Fat Irishman. He says, you consider excellent art and poor Cyberfrog excellent art. What's John Maynard's book is Graveyard Shift excellent. It's just excellent art. These are excellent art. Excellent writing. Yeah, I think so. Because why these things are so good in these books is because people care about them so freaking much. They care about them so freaking much. They make them wonderful. They do make them wonderful. And great customer service. Shitty ideas, that's your perception. And there you go, list about a bunch of people. Ethan Sciver, Carl Lowe, Real Bebop. I don't know, most people are already got to find out. Count, whatever, blah, 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 are not shitty people. So then, Greg Kilpatrick again, obviously on the debate team at school, obviously, did well with the debate team because he comes back with with this again, very well reasoned response. He says, "I consider people who are assholes shitty people." Ah! Okay, it sounds like you're an asshole. Your list starts with the poster boy. Now, the reason they hate Ethan, several reasons. Firstly, he believes in God. He's a Christian. He's a practicing Christian. Secondly, he doesn't. He's a dislike of the unlike. He doesn't share their political opinions. I think he quite likes the current president. He doesn't. But mostly, the reason they really hate him. There's two reasons they really hate him. There's one that he's successful. They hate other people's success. These people basically the life lessons you should have learned in kindergarten are the things that are passed by these people because they are the worst people that humanity has ever produced. So they hate him because he's been incredibly successful, but they hate him more because of the reason why he's been incredibly successful. So this is my theory, that this is the main reason I hate him, is because he's funny, because he's entertaining, and because he's good at taking the piss out of them, because he's good at making them look like the fools that they absolutely are. That's what they hate more than anything else, and they hate a person like that being successful. So let's just put those together. It's like, money, and money's evil. He's a patriot. Just hate him. He seems like a perfectly lovely guy to me. Listen, he will punch back when he's attacked, but he seems a pretty decent, pretty decent chap. And your list starts a poster boy. Ethan gets involved. This is where it gets interesting. Ethan gets involved and says, "No way, I've been nothing but nice to you." Which I believe him. Why wouldn't he? So then Greg comes out. Yeah, okay. You're selling a fact that I can't deny. He says, to me, perhaps. No, it's a yes or no. To you, you would know. You would know if he's been bad to you, right? You would know, and if you don't know, then maybe if you don't know if he's bad to you, maybe he hasn't been that bad to you. I would suggest that. So me, perhaps, but there are many examples out there of less than nice to others. Again, Ethan will hit back when he's hit, because why not? I think that's the right thing to do, right? I think that's a good and right thing to do. So Ethan replies, "Look, Greg, these people practice cancel culture and don't deserve kindness." It is true. Anybody practice cancel doesn't deserve kindness. I hope that isn't you two. So now it gets interesting. Now we step up. Camilla Zahn enters the fray. Enters Thunderdome. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves, or one man, one gender non-specific weirdo. Hi there, Ethan. And did you notice how her demeanor has changed now that she has a much less power, right? Her demeanor has changed quite a lot because, as well as being horrible bullies, horrible, terrible bullies that are terrible in every way, they're also massive cowards. They're terrifying cowards, and they will only attack someone who they feel it's safe to attack, or something that they will gives them a social cachet to attack. Now, Ethan Sciver, pretty powerful on fundraising. Pretty powerful. If she can win him over, she's doing well. Hi, Ethan. Hi there, Ethan. We've never met in person, but I may have corresponded with you a few times back in my days working at Chirella, whatever that is. I'm a firm believer that everyone deserves kindness, yourself included. I believe that you deserve kindness. Because again, the other thing you got to know about the people, they drip with sanctimony. They drip with sanctimony while having no virtue whatsoever. That's why they virtue thing. Everyone deserves, yes, self included. If you ever want to talk in person, do you need to talk? Do you need to talk, Ethan? Really? Do you need to? I don't think I'm open to it. See, I will talk because that's me. I'm a very, very good person. Now, here's him. And she goes on to explain. She goes on to, I wouldn't say womansplain because again, I don't want to assume her gender. I'm going to say unemployed communist splain. Okay, let's go for that instead. What you call cancel culture to me is more like Call out culture. Well, that's interesting, really. That's interesting. Do you call out everybody equally? Or do you happen to? And this is just, I'm sure, a coincidence. I'm sure, a complete coincidence. Or do you happen to only call out people with political differences to you? Really? Are those the only people we have to call out? I mean, really? Yeah, in comic books right now, they got this thing where people sign a pledge saying, I super, double, super strong, extras promise. I promise not to rape anyone. Okay, I super double extra promise not to rape anyone. Right? So listen. The reason they needed to sign that is that pledge is because it turned out that a lot of them were raping anybody they really could. They were being quite opportunist. And so now they got to say, oh no, we hate abuse of women, even though we sort of enjoyed it for quite a long time, right? So are you good on calling out people who politically align with you as well? I'm guessing not, right? I'm guessing you weren't the first person to tweet out, wait a minute, in 2016, before the election, when there was an opening on the Supreme Court, you know, the people who were saying they can't fill that Supreme Court seat under any circumstances whatsoever, it'll be morally wrong, the ones screaming to do it. Yeah, what? No, are you calling? No, I don't think it. So, more call-out culture. I think it's more directed call-out culture. You direct it at people who you want to cancel. So, I think it's important to be able to call out racism. So here's the thing. If you remember January 2017, we had a question going around the internet. Is it okay to punch a Nazi in the face? So again, these people, these SJWs, they come up with questions that you have to answer yes to. They have to answer in the way that you will agree with them to. And then they twist their answer to make them be able to do whatever you want. So, well, of course it's okay to hit one of those National Socialists in the face. I don't think anybody would disagree with you. He said, okay, now anybody who disagrees with me is one of those people. And he goes, wait, but look, you said it's okay to hit them in the face. And that's what they do. So you call out racism, really? Hate speech, and downright mean and abusive behavior. You mean like gatekeeping people from crowdsourcing platforms after gatekeeping them from an industry because you moralize your political differences? That seems downright mean and abusive behavior. If we don't do this, how can we improve the world we live in? So Ethan's going to answer this, but not quite yet. We're going to go off on a little bit of a tangent first. But Ethan's going to come back and answer this, I think, quite well. So then Vonster, good old Vonster, comes up and says, calling out discrimination is already a staunchly American value. We're talking about cancel culture, which is about destroying careers and lives and has no forgiveness whatsoever for anything ever, right? Zero forgiveness. And about destroying careers and lives based on petty political differences or unfounded claims of bad behavior. So again, now, whenever you deal with these people and you give them a fact, they will deflect. Okay, when you say unfounded claims, can you give any examples? Because now you've got to go and research to come back with answers that she thinks. You know, that's why one of their favorite things to do in an argument is go citation, please, citation. Like Doctor Who, the audience figures are pretty much the worst they've ever been right now. There was 2 episodes, I think, in 1988. There was, but generally speaking, Doctor Who is pretty bad. And so, you know, when you say it's going pretty bad, you need to know these figures. Yeah, when you're talking with them at your fingertips, because otherwise they go citation. Oh, you don't know. Well, you can't say anything. But so unfortunately, Vonster had a couple of examples ready to go. Let's see how she does it. Claims that Jay Lee condones abuse because he did a cover for EVS, Ethan and Sciver, for instance, or Warren Ellis abuses women because he breaks up with them for shallow reasons. I've been called racist, the National Socialist, misogynist, for just disagreeing on how to portray politics in comics. And, you know, I've been called all the above because I thought the current era of Doctor Who and Star Trek and Star Wars are awful. I think they will be awful regardless of the identity of the people in the front and behind the camera. But the identity of people behind the camera always kind of white male. In front of the camera, they like to put on, the United Colors, United Colors of Benetton. Behind the camera, they're keeping it pretty white and male, don't you think? Which means they're a little bit full of crap. So let's go on to the Warren Ellis part first before we come back and talk about Jay Lee, Jay Lee's crime, and the terrible tale of Jay Lee, how he did suffer at the hands of these terrible people. There's plenty of evidence that Warren groomed young women and used, unconsciously or not, his fame to assert sexual advances. The women he heard had every right to speak out, just as you do. Don't you think? Don't you think? You have a right to speak out. What about the poor women who are victimized by Warren Ellis? So grooming. Grooming is one of their new go-to claims. They love grooming. Because it sounds really bad. It sounds like you're being a little bit, after children. It sounds like a little. So grooming is, and they like to have the absolute worst interpretation of any words of anybody that they're arguing possible. They don't do anything in good conscience, right? Absolutely not. So Vonster says being mad about it being dumped is fine. Bitching about it is fine. Setting up a website to make it seem that he abused women and put his career on the slab is not. Also, being alluring and dating around because you're famous is an abuse of power. That's just life. So essentially, what happened was Warren Ellis had a forum, and that's actually where the whole social justice warrior comic books came from. From that freaking forum, it came from right there. So he created the beast that eventually ate him. Right. So that forum, so is what spawned all these. Insane editors. These editors were like, you don't hate the president. I can't give you a job. So it turned out that to get jobs in comics, to get a deal, whatever, women would oftentimes agree to date him and sleep with him, even though not the most attractive of men, but they would agree to do it in exchange for career benefit, right? So that's not a good thing, but I don't think it's a good thing on anybody's side. I think it's a very bad idea to turn sex into a commodity, to make it exchangeable. Once you turn it into an exchangeable commodity, and you do that willingly, you're all kind of pretty terrible people at that point, right? I don't think anybody's got anything to claim about anybody else. So then Camilla says, grooming. See, now they love using the word grooming because it makes it say, it just gives the optics, even though it's audio, the optics of, you're defending, somebody who might like the movie Cuties, right? So you're defending them. Grooming is incredibly harmful and manipulative. It's borderline pedophilia. I can't say the word here. The imbalance of power is just the tip of the iceberg. It's when you make sex transactional willingly, when you do that, I think you're a little bit out of line. When you make it, you're entering into that transaction. If you're unwilling about it and you kind of talked around, you might have a point. You might, but that's clearly not what's going on. And grooming is something that you when you see let's say you see, and you're a complete sicko, obviously, you see like a 5-year-old and you think, now I am sexually attracted to 8-year-olds, so I'm going to be nice to that 5-year-old for the next 3 years, and then and then boom, I'll be in there. That's what grooming is. Pretty gross, pretty disgusting. You need somebody to be a child to be able to groom them. If they have their faculties, you can't groom them. As Ethan goes on to explain here, he goes, grooming is done to children, and it's absolutely saying it isn't done to adults. When adults do it, it's called seduction. He's pretty much right. It might be manipulative, as lots of human interaction can be, but to compare it to the things that the people who like the movie Cuties might be into, as though these women were little kids, it does a disservice to your feminism. I like it says it does. It infantilizes women. It says, what, you didn't know? Yeah, really? No, everybody knew what was going on. Fine. But let's get back to the examples they gave her of people being who was it? Yeah, this one over here. Of discrimination, right? Of unfounded claims being made. The other one, Jay Lee condones abuse. So Jay Lee is a absolutely beautiful human being. On the day, who loved his dog, absolutely loved his dog, and paid for his dog to have surgery. But on the day his dog finally died, and he was supposed to have a quiet day with his partner, with his wife, memorializing his beloved pet. And it's really got to me as well, because my dog was in a similar situation, like right around the same time. So I genuinely upset me. That's the day he was cancelled. He was cancelled by Tom King, the guy I was trying to remember. It was basically cancelled by Tom King because he said Comics Gate is a hate group, and then they unleashed their army of Twitter insane people. And this was actually going, even though he wasn't on Twitter, this was actually going to have a real world effect on his life, right? A genuine real world effect on on his life. So we're going to come back to that little bit later. Fine. So we go over here. So Camilla earlier talked about making the world a better place, right? If we can't cancel culture, right? If you can't call out, how can we improve the world we live in? So Ethan had a pretty good answer. Here we're getting into the meat of it. Camilla, we could improve the world by working hard to earn a living, creating something worthwhile, stimulating the economy, and to feed the family we built, to honor those who came before us. We could focus on raising our children and with honor and compassion and a work ethic. Or we could do it your way, Camilla, and create a world in which everyone is afraid of each other, because they will cancel this beast will eat itself in a second. They will cancel you the minute you step out of line, as everybody has found to their chagrin. Either because Twitter mobs accuse isolated targets of racism, bigotry, or being the National Socialists from the 1930s Germany, in order to ruin lives for entertainment on the internet. The end result isn't prosperity. Now, I would ask you, did you use, so that's a pretty good way you can make the world better, right? There. Now I would ask you, did you use your former position at Kickstarter to politically discriminate against Comicsgate creators who may have wanted to crowdfund there? So the answer is yes. The answer is yes. As it turns out, I think the first one who was kept off was your boy Zach, Richie Meyer, and that happened before she arrived there. But from what I can tell, is they were so up for that. They said, look at that, we got to cancel somebody. Whoa! And so they hired her to essentially go and cancel other people. So does she agree? Does she agree that she was the political commissar? Not so much. She does. Have you ever gatekeeped anybody out there? So her answer is obviously not. I think obviously you have, darling. Obviously you have. The trust and safety team rely on hard evidence. The same sort of hard evidence that you used against Warren Ellis. The same sort of hard evidence that was used on Jay Lee to cancel his life. Yeah, that sort of hard evidence. Contrary to popular belief, I was not and am not the political commissar. You were. You're not anymore because you were fired, but you were. The company has processes in place. But do they? Do they, Camilla? Do they have processes in place? Let's see what they have. Where was this? The next thing. So he responds to her. The company has. He responds and says, "I don't believe you." So this is the best way to deal with these people as well, because they think if you can't prove they're lying, if you don't have citation, if you don't have citation that they're lying, they can get away with lying. No, you just say, I think you're lying. I think you're lying. And when people are lying, they go, they don't like it. They don't like it that much. So he goes, I don't believe you. The company has processes in place on 2 occasions allowed duplicate bootleg versions of my Cyberfrog campaigns to fund on their platform. They didn't notice that, but did notice the inherent bigotry and drawbacks, which didn't exist. There was no bigotry in Jawbreakers. It was just crazy people who didn't like Richard C. Meyer because he didn't agree with their political outlook, and he was on board for the current president. So, and the reason he got on board for the current president was exactly the same reason as me. I thought at first of all, this guy, he's a reality TV star. This is gonna be hilarious. Yeah, he'll say terrible things. It'll be hilarious. And then I saw the media over and over again, and people on Twitter, on Facebook, take everything wildly out of context and try and pretend he was saying things that he wasn't. So once you're lying about someone, right? And listen, whatever your political outlook is, I know people who watch my town who we disagree 180 degrees on politics, and they cannot stand the president. They can't stand him at all, right? They think he's wrong in every way, which is fine. But I think once you have to start wildly lying, you lose the argument for me, and that's what brings me over to the other person's side very, very quickly. So that's really what what got me on board. Much the same as Richard C. Meyer, he said the other day. It was just somewhat ridiculous. So next thing we get into. The real mind of how these people work. When we talked about somebody mentioned Jay Lee earlier. Jay Lee was cancelled because he did a cover for Cyberfrog, which is by Ethan Van Sciver, who uses the hashtag Comicsgate. So therefore, he's a Islamophobe, and his life has to be ruined on a deeply personal, emotional day for him, right? For Tom King. So that's what. So then she said, look. There's no such thing as cancel culture. It's just call out culture. We're not trying to cancel. We're just calling out bad behavior. How else can we make the world a better place? How else? I ask you, how else can we make a world a better place? Well, it seems to be, in the space of 4 minutes, she might have changed her mind a bit if there's cancel culture. So here you go. Jay Lee is a sweetheart who doesn't follow Twitter, so I don't think he should be cancelled. Oh, but if he did do the crimes that he's been accused of, which was doing the thing he was accused of, taking the job and drawing a cover. I don't think he should be cancelled when his mistake was not knowing the context of Comicsgate. No, the thing is, Ethan Van Sciver was going to answer you, but the people who didn't know the context of Comicsgate are these people, right? Because they lie about it an awful lot. They lie about the context of Comicsgate quite often. So Ethan answers. You think he didn't know? He didn't care. He isn't like you. So here we get the insight. Now we're finding out the point of the video. We get the pure 100% undiluted insight into why these people are so crazy and why they treat you and me so terribly, right? The reason they treat us so terribly is they judge us by their same incredibly low moral standards. They have little to no moral standard whatsoever. And they think, well, everybody has little to no moral standard. And, what the terrible, disgusting things that I would do, you would do too. How do I know this? By what she wrote here. It just an incredible display of lack of self-awareness. And she says, so if I hired Jay to do a cover, would you and your followers cancel him because he was involved with me? No, we wouldn't. No, we wouldn't, because that's wrong. That's wrong, because we're decent, moral people, and you're terrible scum, right? And the reason that you just assumed that the answer is going to be overwhelmingly yes, and even though you had a gazillion replies to this, everybody going, no, are you out of your mind? No. Yeah, even she still was like, nah, they're all lying. Of course they would do it. Yeah, no, you got to understand. You're a bad person, Camilla. You're the bad guys in this. That's what's going on. Do I agree we are severely divided, and it breaks my heart because I do think comics are for everyone, apart from anybody who disagrees with me. I think comics are for everyone, but hate speech and abuse cannot be condoned unless they're by people that I like, and then I'll pretend they don't exist. Yeah, so and this is where we're gonna wrap up. Where is Ethan's response to this? So he responds quite rightly. this is an absolutely ridiculous thing to you to ask me or any comic skater. You see, and this is why I proudly use that hashtag. We're fighting for the right to work against people like you who gatekeep people out of the industry. Why? Because you're racist, because you're bigoted, because you're politically bigoted, because you're ideologically bigoted. And that's why that's why they had to fight for the right to work against people like you who spread malicious gossip specifically to prevent us, Jay Lee included. They spread malicious gossip to include us. We don't cancel people. That's you. We're here to make comics and make money. And that's really the bottom line, and that's the bottom line, and that's the thing that always short circuits people in these in these exchanges with these terrible human beings, because you can't believe somebody is such devoid of moral fiber, because you have that moral fiber, and they can't believe that you have that moral fiber. Why? Because they are devoid of it. They are absolutely devoid of it. This has been a very entertaining thread. Thank you very much, Camilla. Thank you very much, Ethan. My name is Sheila Becker, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell so you are notified when new videos drop.